Okay guys, we are back to Cornell notes. So please make sure that you draw out your lines for the title, the header, and then a column for your key terms. I probably should have made that one a little bit bigger. Sorry about that. Okay, we are going to be on page 62 in our math books. 62. And we are going to be talking about exponents. Exponents. Okay, so if you want to make sure that you turn to page 62 in your math book, we're going to start, we're not going to do the tiles or the base 10 blocks, but we're going to go down halfway through the page where it talks about some vocabulary words. Our first vocabulary word is going to be base. Base. So the base in a number, let's say I have the number 10 squared, or 10 to the second power. The base is the number used as a factor. So the base is going to be this larger number. So for this circumstance, the base is 10. Our next word is going to be exponent. Oops, that's a T at the end, if you can see that. Exponent. And the exponent tells you how many times the base is used as a factor. So we know that this is the base, and this is how many times we are using this base. So what does it mean using it as a factor? Well, that means, well, we're probably going to be multiplying, right? So 10 squared is the same as 10 times 10. So we're using the base, and this exponent tells us how many times we're using the base. Well, our exponent is 2, so we're only multiplying it by each other twice. So 2 factors means exponent 2. So 10 times 10 is the same as 10 to the second power. So here is the exponent, and here is the base. And these are the 2 factors. Perfect. Okay, so we are going to do another vocabulary term called powers. You'll hear that too. Powers. Okay, powers is the numbers expressed using exponents. So this would be also 10 to the second power. So 10 to the second power would be 100, because 10 times 10, or 10 squared, is 100. Okay, so now let's practice this. We're going to go down to number 1. Number 1 at the bottom of page 62. It says write 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 using an exponent. Okay, so we need to figure out what is the base. The base is a 6, right? Because they're using it so many times. And then what is the exponent? That's how many times we're using it. How many times are we using it? We're using it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So the small number is a 4. So we see the base because that's the number they're using. And we know the exponent because that's how many times they are using it. Perfect. So we don't need to solve this. We're just practicing writing exponents. Okay, we'll solve them later. Now let's go to A. on the bottom of 62. We have 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. What is our base? That's what I want you to solve. Okay, I'm going to have you do that on your own. What is your base and what is your exponent? You're going to write that there, and then we're going to check when you come into class. Okay, and then we're going to go to B. Oh boy, we have 9 times 9 times 9 times 9. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Oof, 9 sevens, or 7 nines. Sorry about that. So you're going to do A and B on your own. You're going to figure out what is the base and what is the exponent. The base is what are you using, and the exponent is tells you how many times are you using it. Okay, so come to class with that answer and that answer. Perfect. Now let's do the opposite. Go ahead and turn the page. And we are going to find how we can write an exponent. Let's see, let me fix these notes really quick and make them Cornell notes style. Oops, that went a little wonky. And now we're on page 63, still writing powers and exponents. So we can write powers at the top, powers. Okay, so we're at the top of 63 and it says number 2, write 5 to the second power as a product of the same factor, then find the value. Okay, so now we're going to find the value. So 5 to the second power is the same as what? This is our base. That's what we're using. How many times are we using it? 2 times. 5 times 5. Okay? So we've written it as a product. Now we need to solve it. 5 times 5 is 25. Great job. Okay, now let's move down to 3. We're going to do the same but with decimals. So we have 1 and 5 tenths to the third power. So we need to write this as a product using the same factor, and then we're going to solve it, find the value. So 1 and 5 tenths is the base. We know that. How many times are we using the base? 3 times. So we have to write it 3 times. Okay, so we have 1 and a half, 1 and a half, 1 and a half, or 1 and 5 tenths, 1 and 5 tenths, and 1 and 5 tenths. And we need to write it 3 times. Now you can, I'm okay if you guys use a calculator on this, just because you know how to multiply decimals. So you can use a calculator on that, but it will roughly come to 3 and 375 thousandths. I had to think of my place values for a second. Okay, now let's go down to C, right below number 3. C is 10 to the 5th power. We need to write it out as a product of the same factor. So what does 10 to the 5th power look like? What does it look like? And then can you solve it? You can use your calculator to solve it, but I want you to solve it this way, okay? And then D is 2 and 1/10 squared. So this is your base, this is your exponent. So this is what you're using. This tells you how many times to use it. So I want you to come to class with that answer and this answer. You need to write it out as a product of the same factor, just like we did here, and then solve it as well. Okay, that's pretty much all we're doing, and then you're going to come to class and we're going to practice some more. Great job today, guys. Go ahead and make sure you're doing Ed Puzzle 2.